What's going on, guys? Happy New Year. The year has started out pretty well for me. Working on some evaluation accounts to start the year because I'm looking to stack a few different funded accounts before I really start hammering things home this year. This week has been good so far to start off the year. Today I took a short on NQ after the NFP release, and it ended up being an A plus trade. The setup that was presented was exactly what I want to see out of my system. So today I just wanted to take the time to walk through what I was looking for from my pre-market analysis, my management during the trade, and the other things that I was looking at as far as what the S&P 500 was doing and also the dollar index. So without further ado, let's get into it. So first and foremost, one thing that I've really been hammering home is where is price at in relationship to the midnight open, 8:30 open, and regular trading hours buy side and sell side liquidity. So when I get to the desk each morning, the first thing that I do is I look at where price is in relationship to the previous day's regular trading hour liquidity. So we could see yesterday on Thursday, we had this range bound day as traders and participants in the market were anticipating NFP on Friday morning, this morning at 8:30. Typically, the day before NFP is going to look like this as people wait for that data release to see which way the market is going to move. So we had these relatively equal highs right here and also these relatively equal lows that were created during yesterday's trading session. And when I got to the desk this morning, what I noticed was we had a run. We were trading above the buy side liquidity of yesterday's regular trading hours. So when I got to the desk this morning at around, I would say around like 8:45 ish, I got to the desk after the NFP release, and I noticed that we were trading above the relatively equal highs that were created during the regular trading hours yesterday, and also above yesterday's 9:30 open, above the high of day yesterday. And the other thing that I noticed as was we were trading above the midnight open, and we were going to be gapping up above where price closed at yesterday. We can see at market open at 9:30 open, we had this not a large gap up, but a gap up from yesterday's close, which puts us in a premium position. And when we're in a premium position, I'm not looking to long the market because if I'm looking to long the market, I want to buy things that are cheap and sell things while they're expensive. So since we're above buy side liquidity, above the new day, above the close of yesterday's regular trading hours, and above the midnight open, I'm recognizing that we're in a rich premium for the day. So I'm initially not looking for long entries. I would like to look for short entries towards these regular trading hour relatively equal lows. And also, if I take this off, post 7 a.m., we had these relatively equal lows that were left on NQ before NFP. So now that I'm seeing that we're in a rich premium, we have good stacked relatively equal lows. I'm waiting for price to finish its damage at buy side before we move lower. And this is what it looked like on the 15-minute chart before or after, right after the 8:30 NFP. We run higher above buy side, above the regular trading hour buy side liquidity, and then we have to move lower into sell side liquidity, the relatively equal lows at 25,713 and 2/4, and then a move into the midnight open. This is what price looked like at on the 5-minute chart after NFP. We can see NFP right here at 8:30. We had a run on this buy side liquidity right here. And then we also had a shift in delivery lower by running a previously bullish 5-minute fair value gap, and then also changing the state and delivery to the downside right here. So we have this run on this 5-minute fair value gap, this previously bullish 5-minute fair value gap. And then we also have a change in the state of delivery to the downside right here. So I'm liking this signature before market open. And since this is all happening before market open, I'm expecting 930 to expand to my target, to expand the sell side liquidity and below to the midnight open, and then possibly leaving runners to yesterday's low of day. So we have the 5-minute change in the state of delivery coupled with the 5-minute inversion fair value gap right here. And let me make this wider because I'm going to transpose it down to the 1 minute for what I was looking for on a 1 minute entry. Oops. Let's see. All right. So we have our 5-minute right here, and this is going to be important because watch what we do. After we close through this 5-minute previously bullish fair value gap, after taking buy side liquidity above midnight open, above yesterday's regular trading hours buy side liquidity, we come back in, we close through it, and then this next 9-10 candle, we come back in, tap it, respect the lower quadrant, and then just move lower to the relatively equal lows. Okay, so now we're on the 1 minute time frame, and this is what the 5-minute inversion fair value gap looked like on the 1 minute time frame after there was that 5-minute closure below the previously bullish fair value gap and the 5-minute change in the state of delivery. So one thing that I want to note here that I noticed was I'm expecting after that inversion fair value gap, if this does want to be the high of the morning session before we move lower into these relatively equal lows, sell side liquidity, see how we have these stacked lows, 830 does not take it out. So we have these relatively equal lows that are super clean that we want to target because clean lows, clean levels are going to become jagged. We have this 1 minute change in the state of delivery right here that is resting at the lower quadrant of the 5-minute inversion fair value gap. So I have the 5-minute inversion fair value gap, and now I also have, coupled with that 5-minute inversion fair value gap, a change in the state of delivery to the downside that I like that's coupled with that, okay? Because if we're going to start bearish order flow, I want to see the lower quadrant, the lower half of that inversion fair value gap be respected. I don't want to see the top half of it get violated and then we move into buy side again. I'm expecting that this reversal after the 5-minute inversion is going to take us lower. So I'm expecting anything that's in the lower quadrant of that 5-minute inversion fair value gap to hold. And then we ended up getting a run lower. We leave this, we leave a couple breakaway gaps right here. We leave this 1 minute breakaway gap. And then we move lower into sell side liquidity. And then also right into the midnight open right at the 9:30 New York open. Okay, so this was all pretty much before the 9:30 open. So then when we got 9:30 open, we moved lower into that midnight open. But there also was another setup that we could have participated in after the 9:30 open. So after 9:30 open, we're back on the 15-minute chart now. We can see that we have the relatively equal lows that were taken out, and we also have yesterday's sell side liquidity that hasn't been taken out yet. But what I am noticing is at the time that NQ took out the midnight open and sell side liquidity before the 10 a.m. news, ES was still trading above this. We were still trading above the regular trading hours buy side liquidity. I'll transpose that back on. So we have the regular trading hour buy side liquidity. We have our premium opening gap. So since we're trading in a premium above midnight open, that high was already made during the pre-market. I'm expecting that to hold. So once we get the move into sell side liquidity into midnight open, and then ES still has relatively equal lows that it can handle, that it still has to target, I want to see this rebalance into this 5-minute fair value gap hold, and then for a move back to low of day right here into this sell side liquidity. So we have the move back into the 5-minute bearish fair value gap, and then we have a move back into sell side liquidity. Okay, so we're trading above midnight open, above the 8:30 open into this 5-minute fair value gap right here, and also we gapped up above the regular trading hours buy side liquidity. Okay, here is the 5-minute bearish fair value gap transposed down onto the 1-minute chart. You can see that we take out sell side liquidity below midnight open, run back up. This high is staying intact. We have a high, higher high, or we have a lower high, higher high, and then I'm expecting this to become the lower high right here. So we have the run up, respecting consequent encroachment of the 5-minute bearish fair value gap. Run on all of this, run on all of these fair value gaps right here. Come back up, tap into this order block, respect mean threshold of that order block, and then we move lower into sell side liquidity. Another thing I want to note that I was looking at during this trade was at the time NQ began to move lower. This is the dollar index. The dollar index was trading below its 7 a.m. post 7 a.m. open. 8:30 NFP ran us lower, and then we started to move higher back towards this buy side liquidity. And one thing to note with the dollar index is it should run inverse of what the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are doing. So if the dollar index is running higher, we can expect the S&P 500 and NASDAQ to run lower, and then vice versa for the dollar index. If it's running lower, then we can expect the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ to run higher. And with this case right here, 8:30 NFP, dollar index starts to run higher. At the same time, the NASDAQ and S&P 500 were at resistance, okay? And then we have our 5-minute inversion fair value gap, while at the same time, the dollar index is reaching its buy side liquidity. The S&P 500 and the NASDAQ are both getting into the sell side liquidity. Now, since I'm trading on the evaluation accounts, I already had a good week, so I decided to take today to just practice trade and still get in reps. But here are my executions. We can see that we had the move lower where this inversion fair value gap was, waited for a retest into the 1-minute change in the state of delivery, took off. Majority of my position had a misfill right here. I accidentally sold more instead of bought more. I took off majority of my position at this sell side liquidity right here. We can see that. And then the remainder of the position below midnight open, I was done right at 9:30 open. So here are some key takeaways from today's trade that I think would really help you guys, and also that I deemed as A+, that really gave me confidence in today's short. First and foremost is, where is the damage being done post 8:30 news? Post 8:30 news, prices gravitating above buy side. The damage was being done above buy side, above the the regular trading hours buy side liquidity, above midnight open, and above the close of yesterday's regular trading hours. If the shift starts before 9:30, we can expect the 9:30 open to deliver price to its objective. After buy side liquidity was taken after post 8:30 NFP news, I'm expecting the 9:30 open to deliver us to sell side liquidity, because I would like to see this high be protected. Lower time frame confluence at lower quadrant of 5-minute IFVG. We can see that, like I was saying earlier, we had this inversion fair value gap right here on the 5-minute. And I'm expecting the lower quadrant of that to be respected. So I want to look for confluences in the lower half of that inversion fair value gap. And we had the 1-minute change in the state of delivery that was resting at the bottom half of that 5-minute inversion fair value gap. And then one of our last things to note, one of our last key takeaways was the dollar index is not an end all be all, but it is a great confluence to pay attention to. Like I was saying, the dollar index was moving higher at the time where I was expecting the NASDAQ to move lower. So that's pretty much it for today's trade. This really was an A+ setup for everything that I look for in my system. And I hope you guys really take something from this video. It's going to be a long year. This is the beginning of the year. We still have a bunch of trading left, a bunch of opportunities to continue to grow on. So continue to trade safe, continue to implement your systems, follow your systems. And until next time, I'll talk to you guys later and trade safely.